causes and effects in sentences. Let's look at a couple of different ways. The first and most basic way is just making a sequence of statements. This can sometimes be a powerful way of making a connection between things. Listen.
Heat-trapping gases are building up in the atmosphere. Trees are flowering earlier, birds are laying eggs earlier, and butterflies are moving up hills.
From the sequence of information, we realise that birds are laying their eggs earlier because gases are making the earth warmer. So a simple list of statements can show a cause and effect relationship. But there are other ways too. You can use the language of cause and effect. We can say, X causes Y. Driving cars causes air pollution. There are many other word choices as well. Driving cars leads to air pollution. Driving cars results in air pollution. Notice you can also turn the sentence around. Air pollution is caused by driving cars. Air pollution is the result of driving cars. Air pollution is due to driving cars. Listen to an example here.
There have been changes in global weather patterns. Trees are flowering earlier, birds are laying eggs earlier, butterflies are moving up hills. So what is global warming? It's the result of billions of decisions.
He's talking about global warming. Global warming is the result of billions of decisions. Global warming is due to billions of decisions. And remember, we can turn the sentence around and change the phrase. Billions of decisions cause global warming. Billions of decisions result in global warming. Billions of decisions lead to global warming. When you're writing about causes and effects, make sure you use a variety of these kinds of phrases. There are many to choose from, and you should make lists of cause and effect language and the kinds of vocabulary you can use to describe cause and effect relationships. Now listen to another clip.
Trees are flowering earlier, birds are laying eggs earlier, butterflies are moving up hills. So what is global warming? It's the result of billions of decisions.
When you're writing up your notes using cause and effect language, you'll need to be able to follow or track the subject of the text. Let's look at that now. What is global warming? It is the result of billions of decisions. The word it here is called a referent. We use reference to identify and track subjects through a conversation or a piece of writing. If you repeat the subject too many times, your work will sound boring. Listen to this. The woman came into the room. The woman sat down. The woman drank her tea. Look at how we use reference. The woman came into the room. She sat down. She drank her tea. When you are reading, you'll need to be able to understand reference and follow the subject through the text. Other reference are this, that, these, those. Here's the clip again. Listen to the way the referents are used.
What is global warming? It's the result of billions of decisions.
The word it here refers to global warming. What is global warming? Global warming is the result of billions of decisions. And here's another referent.
What is global warming? It's the result of billions of decisions. You can't manage that at the scale of the individual.
He says you can't manage that at the scale of the individual. He means you can't manage global warming at the scale of the individual. But notice how the subject changes.
What is global warming? It's the result of billions of decisions. You can't manage that at the scale of the individual. Managing the atmosphere has to take place at a global level. That's why it needs international agreements.
Managing the atmosphere has to take place at a global level. The subject of this sentence is managing the atmosphere. That's why it needs international agreement. So the it here no longer refers to global warming. Now it is referring to managing the atmosphere. That's why managing the atmosphere needs international agreement. When reading and writing, you must be very careful to notice when subjects change and to be clear about which subject is being referred to. This can be quite tricky sometimes. Next time you see a paragraph, try to highlight all the reference like it, this, that, these, those, he, she, they. Then try to work out what subject they are all referring back to. It's a great exercise and it will help your reading, writing and speaking skills. And that's all for today. Hope you keep enjoying your English studies and study English. I'll see you next time. Hello, I'm Margot Politis. Welcome to Study English, IELTS Preparation. Today we're going to talk about the environment. Global warming is caused by the presence of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. One of the worst greenhouse gases is carbon dioxide. We're going to look at the language of cause and effect while we find out why these greenhouse gases are a problem.
The main problem is our use of fossil fuels. So what we've done is put the whole natural system out of balance by digging up coal and oil that took about 200 million years to accumulate, and we're releasing it all in about 100 years. So it's put the whole system just out of balance at the moment, which has resulted in higher levels of these gases in the atmosphere.
That was Dr. Roger Francie talking about the natural system. He says that the natural system is out of balance. He also talked about the causes and effects of this. Listen for the main cause of the natural system being out of balance.
The main problem is our use of fossil fuels.
He says the main problem is our use of fossil fuels. So if we look at a table of cause and effect, we can say that the use of fossil fuels is a cause, and the natural system out of balance is an effect. Listen again.
The main problem is our use of fossil fuels. So what we've done is put the whole natural system out of balance by digging up coal and oil that took about 200 million years to accumulate, and we're releasing it all in about 100 years.
So the natural system has been put out of balance by people digging up and burning coal and oil. This releases gases into the atmosphere. Coal and oil are fossil fuels. So if we go back to the table of cause and effect, we can say that digging up and burning coal and oil is another cause. See if you can hear another effect.
The main problem is our use of fossil fuels. So what we've done is put the whole natural system out of balance by digging up coal and oil that took about 200 million years to accumulate, and we're releasing it all in about 100 years. So it's put the whole system just out of balance at the moment, which has resulted in higher levels of these gases in the atmosphere.
It's put the whole system out of balance, which has resulted in higher levels of gases in the atmosphere. So here, the natural system out of balance is now a cause. It has resulted in or caused higher levels of gases in the atmosphere. This is an effect. To express these relationships, there are many different word choices. We can use verbs like causes, leads to, results in. So we can express the relationship like this. A causes B, A leads to B, A results in B. Listen to an example here.
So it's put the whole system out of balance at the moment, which has resulted in higher levels of these gases in the atmosphere.
Our use of fossil fuels has resulted in higher levels of gases. But we can also express the cause-effect relationship the other way round. Higher levels of gases are the result of our use of fossil fuels. Notice that we use a noun phrase here. This is very common. We can use nouns like the result, the effect, the consequence. If we look at these effect relationships, we can say B is the effect of A, B is the result of A, B is the consequence of A. Remember that it's always important to have a variety in your language. Make sure you use both nouns and verbs to express causes and effects. This will make your written work and your speech sound more interesting. Okay, so Dr. Francie and his team have designed a new way of measuring one of the worst greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere, carbon dioxide. Listen for what they're trying to find out.
We need to understand what happens in the tropics. That's where the biggest forests are, and that's where some of the biggest changes are occurring in terms of human modification of those forests through conversion to agriculture and regular burning of these forests. Our interest is not so much in that diurnal or daily variation. We're interested in what's happening on time scales of days or months or years.
They're interested in what's happening over days, months or years. Their interest is not so much in diurnal or daily variation. The conjunction or here works to connect alternative meanings. In this sense, or means that is, I mean. We're interested in diurnal, that is, daily variation. We're interested in diurnal, I mean daily variation. The second word defines the first. It tells the reader or listener what the more unfamiliar technical word means. Listen again for what diurnal means.
Our interest is not so much in that diurnal or daily variation.
He says diurnal or daily. Diurnal means daily. See if you can work out the meaning of CO2 here. One of the main causes of global warming is CO2, or carbon dioxide. CO2 or carbon dioxide. CO2 is carbon dioxide. When you're looking at environmental issues like global warming and greenhouse gases, it's often necessary to be familiar with these kinds of chemical terms. You should try to learn the more common ones, like CO2. You might want to keep a copy of the periodic table in your notebook. That's the list of all the chemical elements and their abbreviations. Here are some of them. Hydrogen is H, but helium is He. Notice that with abbreviations of elements, the first letter is always a capital and the others are always small. See if you can guess these ones. Oxygen, that's O, and carbon is C. But they're not always that easy. Lead is Pb, and sodium is Na. Okay, now let's listen to Dr. Francie talk about the new CO2 measuring device. Then we'll look at the names of countries and nationalities.
There's been interest from Korea, Japan, France and Malaysia, where the analyser could be installed on a 100-metre tower on the island of Borneo.
He says there's been interest in their device from Korea, Japan, France and Malaysia. It's important to learn and recognise the English names of the major countries of the world, their nationalities and how to spell and pronounce these. It's a good vocabulary exercise to make lists of these families of words. To help you remember them, try grouping countries according to how the nationalities are formed. Notice that they're all spelt with capital letters. We have the AN group, Australia, Australian, Korea, Korean, Malaysia, Malaysian, Fiji, Fijian. We have the ESE, EASE group. Japan, Japanese. China, Chinese. Vietnam, Vietnamese. Then there's the I group, pronounced I. Bangladesh, Bangladeshi. Kuwait, Kuwaiti. And some nationalities are formed in an irregular way. France, French. New Zealand, New Zealander. Philippines, Filipino. And watch the change in spelling with that one. Why don't you start your own list of English names for countries and their people? Some countries also take separate adjectives that you can learn along with them. And that's all for Study English today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.